Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. As always, back to your daily crypto news and analysis. Today, we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as the vast majority of crypto and finance. Let's just dive in and let's start off with this tweet here. So, this is actually from an Indian billionaire and bank CEO. He's saying that the US dollar is the biggest financial terrorist. He went on to sound like Xi Jinping. The world is desperately looking for an alternative. These changes happen every 100 years or so. De-dollarization is everywhere. The world is awake, and there's no going back. And listen closer to this 40-second long clip. I genuinely think the biggest financial terrorist in the world is the US dollar. All our monies are in nostro accounts, and somebody in the US can say you cannot withdraw it from tomorrow morning, and you're stuck. Yeah, that is the power of the reserve currency. And I think we are at a very clear crucial time in world history where the world is desperately looking for an alternative reserve currency. Changes happen once in 100 or hundreds of years. And did you catch what he mentioned there? Our money is locked away in nostro accounts where they can cut us off from withdrawing. Nostro accounts. Do you remember what the initial point of view around XRP was with the major use case? It was the $27 trillion locked capital in nostro accounts. Now, for years, we have seen people say those accounts don't exist, that money doesn't exist. Well, here you have an Indian billionaire and bank CEO telling you that those accounts do exist, and there is a lot of money locked away in those. In fact, we have broken this down many times in the past as well, talking about the biggest use case around XRP and digital assets. It's the fact that it breaks these nations away from utilizing these nostro accounts. It frees up so much capital. When we also look at that, though, it decentralizes the global economy. This is the number one reason why CBDCs have been discussed quite a bit on this channel as well as around the world. It's because, as you look at CBDCs, what it allows is these nations to fully be their own bank, if you will. Instead of relying on the US and the US dollar, they have their own currency that's pegged to whatever they are holding. It could be gold, it could be oil, it could be anything, right? But mainly we've talked about it in terms of gold. When we look at gold-backed currencies, it looks like CBDCs will be gold-backed by reserves, and it will be issued out on DLT. But this is why it's so significant, because CBDCs allow them to decentralize themselves away from the US dollar. Now, with this, we also do see over here from Martin Hayes-Boak, Citigroup CEO Jane Fraser said that the US banking system is the envy of the world. But as for banks that failed over the past 2 months, she concluded that they just weren't well managed. The envy of the world, very interesting. We do see Citigroup CEO Jane Fraser said the US banking system is the envy of the world. I highly doubt that, but as for banks that failed over the past 2 months, she concluded that they just weren't well managed. What's crazy to me is that as we look at liquidity, we know it's drying up. The traditional world of finance is ultimately cracking and crumbling, you know, in real time. We've been focused on it for a while now. To me, the US is failing miserably. We recently saw JP Morgan become a much larger antagonist for those regional and smaller banks. The best thing about this is that, guess what, on-demand liquidity allows these banks to compete with the big guys. Because JP Morgan still doesn't want to utilize Ripple technology, we know that they've been fighting back against Ripple for so long. Jamie Dimon and actually Brad Garlinghouse have had heated discussions many times. As we look at JP Morgan, the best case scenario for these smaller banks is for them to compete against the larger banks. That is so big for the smaller and regional banks. I do think that on-demand liquidity gives them a big upper hand against JP Morgan and Citi and those big banks. This is very exciting for those smaller banks because, again, it means that they will flock to utilize the best technology standards that will allow them to cut out those bigger correspondent banks. Also, as we look at Ripple and we look at crypto technology, we know that crypto is becoming a big deal. What do you see from Ripple? Corporate treasurers face many challenges when it comes to managing cross-border capital flows, particularly in complex corridors. And as we do look at this guide, which is very interesting, so we do see a quick guide streamline global treasury flows. There's about 5 pages here. Unless you guys do see, they do talk about the global cross-border payments landscape, how it's slow, fragmented and even ripe for innovation, which we've been discussing for so long on this channel. Obviously, cross-border payments are a very large market, $156 trillion. They're saying that it could be up to $250 trillion by 2027, which in a decade, I mean that's a massive gain. But also, in just a few years, I think it was like 2017, so 2017 to 2027, a whole gain of roughly over $100 trillion in value. And with crypto and digitization and streamlining the flows, I do think that that market is going to grow exponentially. We can go from $250 trillion in 2027 to, $500 trillion by 2030. That's how fast digitization could allow for these markets to grow. Nonetheless, we do see a few things down here. We do see, grow your business with Ripple's payment solution. So a global payment solution, they do talk about their cutting-edge liquidity solution that allows for instant settlement of cross-border payments. And we even do see, grow and scale by accessing 7 days of interest-free flexible repayment terms for your cross-border treasury flows or payments. Simplifying treasury operations with access to liquidity when you need it and payment settlement in real time. Leveraging competitive exchange rates and transfer fees, investing, save time and resources into other areas of the company, compete in global markets through business expansion. This is very big, and we do see with Ripple, businesses can access Ripple's global payments network and expand into complex corridors like India, Mexico, Brazil, and Southeast Asia. Send payments now, pay later with a post-funding model, settle global payments in real time, drive cost savings by obtaining liquidity when you need it, streamline global treasury flows, and free up trapped capital. That last one is the biggest key because that goes back to the initial statement around settlement without national Vasho accounts. It's a huge deal. Now down here, we do see, tap into markets with Ripple's global network. This also talks about a few things around not only crypto payments but also how 2022 basically changed the game. We do see that despite the fact that it's hard to move funds in and out of those countries. However, the crypto industry is still evolving, and there are risks associated with investing in any digital asset. Overall, it seems that Ripple's technology and products have the potential to revolutionize cross-border payments and treasury management. On-demand liquidity and the ability to settle payments in real time could provide significant advantages to smaller banks and businesses, allowing them to compete with larger players in the market. Additionally, Ripple's global payments network could open up new markets for businesses looking to expand their operations. It's worth noting that while Ripple's XRP digital asset is often discussed in relation to the company's products, it's not necessarily required for their use. Ripple's products can be used with various currencies, including traditional fiat currencies. In conclusion, Ripple's technology and products have the potential to disrupt and improve the cross-border payments and treasury management industries. While there are risks associated with investing in any digital asset, Ripple's focus on solving real-world problems and partnering with major financial institutions bodes well for their future success. That being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because I'm providing free content for you guys.